Welcome into the Cowboys Report. Some news on James Washington and more. But first, the fun fact of the day. We here at the Cowboys Report have double the YouTube subscribers that the Indianapolis Colts do. We're not satisfied with just that. We're going to keep growing here, and you get free videos every single day on an actually good football team, unlike the Colts, when you subscribe for free, youtube.com/@CowboysTV. Let's break down the latest news around the Dallas Cowboys, broken earlier this morning by Ian Rappaport and confirmed at the Mike McCarthy press conference today. James Washington is finally made his way back to the Cowboys. He is back at practice for the Cowboys after missing the entire year so far with a foot injury. Now, the Cowboys have a 21-day practice window in which Washington can practice without counting against the active 53-man roster. There is an open roster spot after the release of Terrell Basham. By the way, Mike McCarthy confirming that that was more of a preemptive move, knowing that there's going to be some additions coming. Washington, Tyron Smith, and in theory, Odell Beckham, more on those two guys in a little bit here. But the Cowboys might not have Washington for this game against the Colts. There is still, of course, the game day shape. Now, we're way beyond the initial 10 to 11 week window for James Washington. We're already in week 12, and that was in the middle of preseason. We're like at week 16. So we're a month and a half beyond when you probably could have had James Washington back if you needed him. There is, of course, maybe the outcome of, they just don't activate him at all if they sign Beckham, but they're pretty thin still at wide receiver beyond those top three guys. I don't know if we're going to see James this week against the Colts, but week 14, 15, by week 16, you'd have to make that decision in terms of activating him to your roster. Washington does bring you at least something resembling proven depth, and that is a bit of a higher-end praise for Washington. So he hasn't done much of anything the past 2 years, but the Cowboys also don't have very many trustworthy wide receivers on this roster. There, of course, is CeeDee Lamb, who's had a great year. Gallup is kind of getting back on track, but as Gallup has gotten going, Noah Brown has cooled off a little bit. Tolbert, meanwhile, is not a player that this team trusts. I think they want him on the active roster for now, at least, to help him come along and learn what it takes to be an NFL player. Again, big jump from South Alabama to the NFL. And KaVontae Turpin continues to be your Tavon Austin type of, he's not really a receiver, he's a gadget player, but is a fantastic return man. Washington, I think, would slot in above those last two guys on your wide receiver depth chart. So more conversation on this and some convo on the why right now, what it means for Odell Beckham, etc. But I want you guys to respond to our pinned comment today. Where does James Washington rank for you among the Cowboys wide receivers? It's definitely not 1 or 2, I would assume. 3, 4, maybe 5 if you love KaVontae Turpin or Tolbert. It's the pinned comment, like I mentioned, on today's video. So if an ad break happens to come here on YouTube, take advantage of it, head down there, and let me know. I myself would probably put Washington 4th on the list, maybe 3B behind Noah Brown's 3A. But I will say this, among your wide receiver depth chart, this is someone I think you can trust to play. I don't think the Cowboys really trust Jalen Tolbert. I mean, the guy can't even line up on sides correctly right now. They don't trust KaVontae Turpin as a full-time wide receiver. That's been made pretty clear with he gets a couple snaps per game. Also, this part is important as well. The impact expectation should still be low. He's not going to take major snaps away from CeeDee Lamb, from Noah Brown, or from Michael Gallup, maybe some from Noah Brown, but he does give you some vertical threat ability. I think it's kind of in the, if you're lucky, you're getting Bryce Butler level of expectation prorated across the season. So I think best case for Washington is going to be somewhere around 400 total yards this year. If he played all 17 games, you're going to get him for maybe 4 or 5. So if he can give you the occasional big play as that vertical threat, that'd be nice. Although, if you get Odell Beckham, which we'll get to here in a moment, that means even less of an opportunity for Washington to make any type of impact this year. Now, today's Cowboys Report is made possible by our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Head over to chatsports.com/bet and use the promo code you guys see on screen. That is Cowboys125. $100 down gets you a 125% deposit. Most can bet on the Cowboys-Colts game. Dallas is an 11-point favorite, by the way. Or if you are among, it's the majority votes from what we've seen in the live polls, by the way. Among people who think the Cowboys will win the NFC East, they're plus 265. A lot of shade against the Giants being plus 6,000 behind the Commanders, which I find neither are good bets, but whatever. The Cowboys at plus 265. There's some value if you think they can make that run, and now is the time to bet on them because the schedule is easy, relatively speaking, the next 3 weeks. So go do it or bet on them just to beat the Colts. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code Cowboys125. With Washington coming back, the question is, well, what does that mean for Odell Beckham? I don't think that much in the end. Jerry Jones continues, Mike McCarthy as well, to express interest in Odell Beckham. He's going to visit the Dallas Cowboys on Monday, and the team would need a roster spot to sign him. I don't foresee Beckham doing a practice squad contract and then getting pro. That doesn't seem like it's a likely path here for OBJ. So you would need that roster spot, which, of course, there is one open. The money and the medical for OBJ. How much does he want, and how does that knee look? Because if the knee is looking great, then that will give him some more money. Otherwise, teams are going to be cautious. That's what really matters here. I don't think activating Washington really impacts the pursuit of Odell Beckham. I still kind of view James a little bit as the break in case of emergency. And my initial thought, which was clearly wrong, was, hey, the Cowboys aren't going to do anything with James Washington until they know about Odell Beckham. And that clearly is no longer the case. I also thought of this, too. What you could do if you're the Cowboys, and you want to keep Tolbert active for whatever reason all year, and you don't want to free up that space, is you bring James Washington to practice now. Get him up to speed. If Odell Beckham signs, you don't have to activate James Washington if you don't want to. You can just say, you know what, we're going to keep him on IR for the rest of the year, and we'll ride with Noah Brown, Odell Beckham, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Turpin, and maybe Tolbert in that capacity as well, though you could always have an injury for Jalen Tolbert if needed. And if you don't sign Odell Beckham, then boom, Washington's now up to speed. He's had that ramp-up time, and he's able to hit the ground running. So I wouldn't make it a 100% lock that James Washington ends up playing a game this year for the Cowboys. If you get Odell Beckham, you're going to be playing OBJ over James Washington, right? Beckham down the playoff stretch last year, where you want and need him to help you out. Get that extra 5% chance, whatever it is, to win football games. That matters a lot. He'll go up and get contested catches. He'll go up and make plays for you over the middle. You need that guy. Back to Washington. I think it's more likely than not he plays, but I'm also not sold on that one. So what do you think? Will James Washington play for the Cowboys this year? Y for yes and for no in the comment section. Quick note here on the Odell Beckham suitor interest. December 1st for the Giants. That's coming up here tomorrow. The Bills, according to Von Miller, get him on Friday, so I think it's kind of a hybrid visit with the Giants, then maybe stays overnight and then heads up to Buffalo that Friday, Saturday after they play on Thursday Night Football. Then the Cowboys get him on Monday. As of right now, no other knowledge of any teams who have set up visits. Maybe we get some news on Sunday there, but as it sits right now, if he gets to Dallas, that would be the final visit for Odell Beckham. What is the percent chance the Cowboys end up signing Odell Beckham Jr.? Sound off, make that prediction for me in the comment section. Before we go, many of you wondering, comments, Twitter, your Facebook, you name it, what's going on with Tyron Smith? The Cowboys have not yet opened Tyron Smith's window. Head coach Mike McCarthy said again at his press conference today that Tyron Smith is close, that he's on the verge of coming back, and I wonder if maybe next week the Cowboys open that Tyron Smith window, giving him 21 days to practice. Then a decision must be made. And make no mistake, once the Cowboys, if they get Tyron Smith back, we know how the injuries have been, you can never quite put it in stone there. If the Cowboys get Tyron Smith back, he'll plug in at left tackle. Tyler Smith then, in theory, slides over to left guard. Connor McGovern fills the spot. You don't have it all on your roster right now. That's why I've thrown out the idea of maybe Dakota Shepley comes up for a week or two. You have no backup interior offensive lineman on your roster right now. Jason Peters working at left tackle pretty much exclusively. And when the Cowboys in that blowout game brought in Jason Peters at left tackle against the Vikings and put Tyler Smith at left guard, that was your hint. That was your indication that once Tyron comes back, it's the Smiths on the left side of the offensive line. When healthy, last year, Tyron Smith was still that elite player. Better production across the board than what you got from Tyler, which of course makes sense, right? That's veteran Tyron Smith. Tyler Smith was a lot of left guard in the preseason, now got kicked over left tackle. Has done a great job expectations-wise, having to do a lot of stuff there. Pleased with the results from Tyler Smith. But Tyron, once you get him back, he's going to be your left tackle. Hopefully that does, because if you can add Odell Beckham and Tyron Smith to your roster in December, that's got the upside to be a major boost for you come playoff time.